All right, class. So this is chapter 6, which is managing food and beverage pricing. So a few things are going to influence whether you make money or don't make money more than how you price your items. Okay, so we're going to talk about a lot. All right, so this is probably one of two or maybe even three videos. So let's go. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is pricing methods, menu formats, because the menu has a lot to do with how you price, menu specials, factors affecting pricing, assigning menu prices. That's probably where I'm going to camp out there in special pricing situations. All right, so pricing methods. There's several different pricing methods, and the probably the one that is used more often than it ever should be is just guessing. Okay. Guessing is a way to guess yourself right out of business. All right. So we've got some different systems, and quite frankly, from a uh, cost control perspective, one or two of them make more sense than the rest. All right. So let's talk about. Okay, you've probably heard these before, but cost plus, competitive, and value based. Cost plus is how we can really apply our menu pricing to uh, our our our, um, our cost control. Good Lord, I had a hard time with that. Right. So, and then competitive and value based are very good from the customer perspective. All right. But from the establishment's perspective, as far as controlling cost and keeping track of cost, cost plus is probably the one you want to go with. So let's talk about these three. All right. So cost plus is nothing more than considering your cost and then adding a desired profit to it. Okay. Now, there's many different ways to do that. Some of the ways is the food cost percentage. So if I know that I want to have a food cost percentage of a certain amount, say 30%, I just apply that to my cost, and then I get my menu item or my menu price. And we're going to talk about how to do that. So contribution margin is basically just saying dollar amount how much you want to make. And then the factor method is the third method. It's basically the food cost percentage, but turning it into a multiplier instead of difficult percentage math. Okay, so then we have competitive prices. All right, there's many different types of competitive pricing, but basically what it is prices are based on what the competition is charging. There's cost leader price or follow leader pricing, where if you have someone in the market who is so well established and your market share is significantly less than theirs, and they drive the market, you have to consider them. All right. Uh, so you would set your prices based on what they're doing. All right. And then you have value based, and this is basically just looking at what the customers are willing to pay. Let's see. Oops, there's follow later. All right. So with value basis, prices are set based on perceived value from customers. Okay, so what the market can bear. Sometimes, if the supply and demand is such that there's a lot of demand and low supply, that value is seen differently than if it's the opposite way around, right? So this is basically seeing what the market can bear, seeing what we have to make hay when the sun is shining. So um, if the market's doing well, and people are willing to pay, then we should charge what they're willing to pay. Some people think that that's greedy or whatever, but basically that's just business. All right. So let's move forward. All right. And then prestige pricing. Sometimes you just gonna you may be the type of establishment that you'll have prestige pricing. Prestige pricing, whether it is real or not, shows to people that if you have high prices, you're higher quality. Some places will do that even when they're not higher quality, but people will be, convinced that they are. It's somewhat comical to see sometimes. I mean, people will pay enormous price if somebody doesn't do anything any better than anybody else. But it's almost as if that since they did it once, now they cannot admit that they got ripped off, right? But however, on a more practical sense, prestige pricing is a way to sell yourself. If you're trying to sell yourself as a cut above, and you have cheap prices, then that communication doesn't exist. That the communication is confusing. All right, so just keep that in mind. All right, so menu formats. There's many different menu formats. There's standard menu is the same offered item every day. Now we're just talking about the kind of establishment of the menu. Daily menus they change every day. Cycle menu is they change on a cycle. Okay, a la carte menu is probably, as far as how things are priced, is probably one of the more common in the United States, or a combination of it. Most American menus are not truly a la carte menu. I went to Ruth Chris for the first time in my life around Christmas time, and they are a true a la carte. I want a filet mignon. Okay, I pay the filet mignon. Hey, it doesn't look that bad. It's like $60, whatever. That's not that bad. Uh, but what I get with that is filet mignon. If I want potatoes, if I want carrots or whatever, it's all separate. That is completely a la carte, which means that you buy everything together. A prefix menu is a list of items that presented multiple course for a single price. So those are those menus you go in and they say, okay, this is what you get for this price. For $19.99, you have a choice of uh, this choice 1, 2, or 3. One has a chicken plus potatoes plus this. Choice 2 has steak plus potatoes plus something else and whatever. That's a prefix menu. All right. So moving forward. All right. So menu specials, regardless of the format, menu managers will incorporate a relatively minor menu changes. So we have a menu, it's established menu, but we'll do changes, and we'll do those in the form of specials. Those of you who work in the industry know that specials are used for many different reasons. One of them is we have an unexpected abundance of a particular um, ingredient that we need to move, or else it's going to go bad. All right. Another one is we could buy something cheap and or at a good price. You know, the rep comes in and say, "Hey, this week I got a really good price on this. It's not on our menu. Why would I buy it?" But we can see that it's something that will probably be popular, so we buy it at that good price and sell it at a same level of price as everything else, and then we're making good money on it. So there's many different reasons. And another one is just to see if a certain entree. It's say we're going to be changing our menu. We change it seasonally, right? We're coming up on our new menu. We want to see how well something does, so we will do it and put it on special. All right, and then like when I worked in Bald Head Island, we had daily specials because our pricing was for locals. The daily lunch specials were for the workers. So we would do these things where everything was made to order for dinner, but for a lunch special, I would just do a great big pan of something, and then when I sold out of it, I sold out of it. It was cheaper for me to produce. It wasn't. It was quicker. I could throw it out, and that was another thing for lunch specials. You want to do it because it's quicker if you mass produce something and just say, okay, this is a much cheaper price as if I would have made it individually. All right, moving forward. Okay, so factors affecting uh, menu pricing. Of course, it's going to be, uh, we're going to look at our total revenue. Price number sold equals total revenue. Okay, this math is stuff we've talked about before. So basically, you have $5.20. You sell 127 of them. Your total revenue off of that is 66.04. Okay. Factors affecting menu pricing. Okay, the price value of relationship is a view of how much money they are, how much value customers are receiving for the price they're paying. That you have to be conscious of that. If you just strictly go by cost plus and say, listen, I have to make so much money on this, and you price it really, really high, nobody's going to buy it. I was doing egg rolls and we were buying egg rolls, and our cost for them was astronomical. And egg rolls in a uh, stand-up window um, as an appetizer is not something somebody expects to pay $17 for, right? But if I did true cost plus, uh, two egg rolls was going to cost our customers $17, and that was more than some of our entrees. It didn't make any sense. So I had a choice to do. I had to find a way to make them cheaper. I had to take them off the menu, or I had to make less money. All right. So those are things that you have to take into consideration. Increasing pricings without giving guests added value is going to be a problem. Now, sometimes we have to do that. Well, if the economy goes up, we have to increase our prices. We're not adding any value, but we're keeping the value the same. Because if we were to leave it the same, that gives them increased value because they're actually getting more for less. All right. So that's things to consider. I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, some other things that affect menu pricing is economic conditions. Economic conditions, when prices went crazy all of a sudden, like overnight, seemingly like a year and a half, 2 years ago, it was hard for some people to adjust to that. Very hard. Okay, for years and years and years, I was $2 for a burger, $2.50 for a burger, $3, whatever. But then all of a sudden, $22 for a burger. It's like, what the hell's going on? But eventually, it all comes around. But sometimes you have to be very cautious. All right. So local competition. Somebody might be trying to put you out of business. All right. They might be doing a lot of different things to undercut you, to put you out of business. So you have to take that into consideration. Service levels. You can't charge sit down table service prices with a window. You can't. All right. Guest type price sensitivity. If I am in Florida doing the early bird special, I have to understand that those folks are very, very set in their ways, and those are the ones that are going to have a really hard time adjusting to inflation if it's an all of a sudden thing. So, and then product quality. If if it's low quality, you don't want to charge high prices, and vice versa. Okay, so some of the things that we can play around with or that also influence, and then sometimes we can play around with them, is portion size, ambiance, food, meal period, location, and sales. We can charge less for lunch because we can reduce the portion size. Or we can charge, keep the portion size the same, but maybe have less service or have it par cooked or pre cooked or whatever. Okay. Let's see. So food cost percentage. We know how to do the food cost percentage for our overall food cost percentage, right? So cost of food divided by food sales equals our food cost percentage. Food cost percentage formula is worded somewhat differently for a single menu item. So it's cost of specific food divided by the sales of that specific food is that specific food's food cost percentage. That's an important thing to understand. If our overall food cost percentage is 33%, but going back to the uh, egg roll example, if I had not used or even considered a cost plus pricing, and I was just doing prestige pricing, or not prestige, but competitive pricing or something like that, I would have found, if I had charged what people expected for it, like $5, I would have seen that my food cost percentage was 99%. All right, so that's a good thing to do, especially if you're not applying cost plus to every single item. All right, whoops, here we go. What we got? All right. I'm not going to worry about that. All right, so we're going to pause right here. We're going to start the next video.